welcome to Lady in Waking. If you are new here, my name is Ashley. I am a 40-something pop culture geek with a love for vintage style, and on this channel we will be talking about different ways that we can bring our vintage style into our 40s without feeling a little too aged. Unfortunately, some styles that I wore that were vintage in my 20s and 30s are not really working for me as much anymore. So I'm doing individual styles for individual needs, and of course there will be some vintage techniques thrown in there as well. Today's style is inspired by the wonderful, one-of-a-kind Jane Russell. I was very, I kind of jumped the gun just a little bit because my hair is a little bit shorter than hers is in all of my inspiration photos that I was looking at. However, the natural curl that she had in her hair made it possible for her to have made most of her styles look very curly, especially in her 50s films. She definitely harnessed and worked with her curls. So what we're going to do in this video is, even though my hair is just a little bit shorter and you will have to kind of play around with the idea, is we're going to show you how you can have straight hair and do a vintage curly style that is still indicative of the styles that you may have seen on Jane Russell, but without having to get a perm, for instance. This is a foam roller set, and this is actually the last evolution of the style. What we did was we started with her center parted, very iconic center parted hairstyle from Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And then we went into her very blousy, tousled, side-parted style that she made so iconic in the 1940s. And then we did this more structured style, which she did in a lot of films as well. So this is literally going to be a progression of about 3 different styles using the same set, and all with the general idea that you can sort of harness the curls that the foam rollers create because they are so structured. So hopefully this is helpful for you. I'm going to go ahead and get to the tutorial, and I'm going to just narrate the tutorial like I have been in the past, just so that you can kind of get a general feel for the way that I go through it. But you'll notice that I do try my best to brush volume into the curl and not get completely past the frizz, because I can take this hair and actually brush it against my hand and create a very sleek style. But when you're wanting to mimic that particular look that we were going for in this video, it's not going to be it's not going to be the first thing that happens. You would have to brush quite a bit to get that sleeker version of the style. So whenever you start, it'll of course be frizzy, and you can really work with that frizz to make your hair look like it's naturally curly. So that is that. Let me know if you have any requests. Of course, I just kind of do my videos on the fly each week, especially here for YouTube. But keep an eye on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure you follow me. All of my links and all of my socials are below. And you'll notice that sometimes I just do TikTok, and then sometimes or Reels, and then sometimes I'll do a YouTube video. So it just kind of depends on what I have planned project-wise that week. But thanks again, and here's the tutorial. Okay, so let's start with hair that has been rolled in foam rollers. The top sections were rolled in pillow rollers to prevent any denting from the clamps, and then I pin curled my bangs towards each other with pin curl clips. My bangs are very short, so that will of course hinder the look somewhat, but the technique should still be basically the same. And then I'm just going to carefully remove all of the rollers. I just start at the bottom and then remove all of the rollers going up. And then I will also remove the pin curl clips from my bangs. And then I'm going to scratch all over my head and just kind of break up those curls with my fingers to some extent. It's not as important, but it's also a good way to find any stray rollers or clips that may have been left in your hair. And then I'm going to take this brush. This is the Curl Shaper brush by Lauren Rennells on her website. It is vintagehairstyling.com. This brush is only about $8 or $9, and it is absolutely worth it. So I'm just going to take this, it's like a nylon bristle brush, and just break up all of the curls. The first brush through is always going to be the frizziest, so don't allow that to dissuade you at all, because it is just the lay of the land. And if your hair has natural curl in it, you may have to brush even more than I do. My hair is very, very stick straight. And then I'm going to take the top surrounding the part and just sort of pull up individual sections and tease it a little bit, just to give it a little bit more volume at the top, because my hair is so straight, it does tend to lay very flat. So I'm just going to create a little bit of volume at the top. And then I will take my brush, bring that part back into it, and just gently brush over the top, and then the rest I can brush a little more thoroughly because I don't have to worry about the volume coming out of the rest of it. But you'll notice that I kind of hold my hand above where my brush is just to kind of keep the smoothness in the crown that would be indicative of the era. And then I'm going to take my rat tail comb or any comb and just kind of lift my bangs and spray. I will continue to do that on the other side, just going to lift my bangs and spray, and that's going to sort of create those arches that you see. Now, of course, she has a much thicker hair than I do, and so her hair is going to look very different at the top. She also doesn't have super short bangs, so it makes a big difference when you have short bangs, but you can still mimic the look somewhat. And I'm going to sort of try to pull out the sides a little bit and get a little bit more volume into the sides because her hair kind of fell in sort of a triangle where there was more volume at the top than there was at the bottom, sort of a tapered look. So I'm going to try to bring that in the best that I can with my hands and my hairspray just to kind of give it a little bit more of that general shape. And so you can see it kind of brought that volume right above the ears there. And when I'm somewhat happy with the arches, I'm going to check the back and sort of just bring my brush down towards the nape of my neck. I want to keep as much curl as possible around the bottom and just keep the volume and the kind of smoothness in the crown. And then I'm going to add some jewelry, lift up a little bit at the sides and add a little bit more hairspray a la 1980s. And that is that style. Now I'm going to actually take my rat tail comb and create a part very deep above the outer edge of my eyebrow, or outer arch of my eyebrow. And I'm going to pull my hair over to the side, and the way that I'm actually getting that additional kind of messy volume is I'm actually taking my brush and brushing up over my hand instead of down over my hand. So that's going to give it a little bit of smoothness on the top, but that additional kind of messy curliness is going to remain around the face. And of course, because my hair is shorter, it's not going to look quite as, going to look quite the same as hers, but in the general look of this is just sort of that messy, casual 1940s, 1950s look that you saw in movies, or occasionally, most of the time you would see it in movies. But I liked the way it looked a little bit more once I kind of loosened it up. I think that it just has sort of a great, like, versatile look to it, and it looks really good with some things. But just pulling all that volume into the top, I'm actually keeping my bangs out of this particular style and just bringing as much curl as possible into play and keeping it messy. And then now I'm going to actually smooth it out by taking my brush and smoothing downwards, keeping my hands above where the curls end and just brushing down towards the bottom. And the smoother and more structured that it is, the more polished it would look and looks more appropriate for evening. But it makes a huge difference when you bring all the curl down at the bottom and then sort of brush them around your hand. So that is that style. So that was it. It's really all about just brushing past the initial frizz and getting the look of the curls that you would like to get. And it's really just something that is a matter of practice, but foam rollers are usually going to be your best option because the curls have a little bit more texture to them. I don't know why exactly, but foam rollers and pillow rollers, these tend to, because of the silky texture, the fabric on the pillow, they tend to give you a little sleeker curl. So I feel like I get a better and more natural curl using foam rollers because of the texture of the sponge. Don't know why that is, but that might just be my hair type. Again, this size roller is really what you're looking for. So if you have this size roller, you can usually do the same thing with your hair that we did in this video. But thanks again for tuning in. Let me know if you, like I said, if you have any requests coming up. Please like and comment, and that really helps keep my videos up in the algorithm, and I'll be back soon with another video for you.